Good Monday morning. This is 106.1 KYVZ. Joe Vazurek visiting once again with Ag meteorologist Chris Schrammick at Decision Weather and Atwood, as well as America's Weather Streaming Channel. Chris, a nice cool start to the day after some precip fell last night.
Yeah, Joe, we had a stormy evening yesterday night as we had a line of thunderstorms come out of eastern Colorado and southwest Nebraska that moved through and produced a wide-ranging amount of rain. We had wind gusts up there to 50 to 70 miles per hour. We had some golf ball size hail in a few areas and some tornadic activity up there around Curtis, Nebraska. So those areas that did have those severe storms in the Benkelman area in northeastern Cheyenne County, northwestern Rawlins County, north of McCook in the Maywood and Curtis area, and in northern Sherman County, saw anywhere from 1 to 2, maybe even upwards to 2.5, 3 inches of rainfall. And then you worked yourselves like in the middle of the counties and here in Atwood, we had about 30 points, and then you get to the Thomas-Rawlins border, we had anywhere from a half to an inch. Get up on the Kansas-Nebraska border, we had anywhere from 1 to 2 inches. Colby had 1/10 of an inch, and McCook had 40 hundredths. So we had a wide range of precipitation, depending if you were caught in one of those storms. And also, along with those storms, we did have some golf ball and large hail reported in those specific isolated areas. Elsewhere, it was smaller and more scattered. And as that front line came through with all the wind gusts, this has moved off to the east here this morning. We'll see some clearing this afternoon. We'll see our temperatures warm up there into the upper 80s. Winds will be variable from the west to the northeast at 5 to 15. And then we could see some isolated storm activity east of Highway 25 this afternoon with some convergence as the low pressure redevelops out over the Rockies and the Front Range. That low will move through overnight and tomorrow morning. That could give us another round of shower and storm activity. Some of that could be severe. It could have the 1-inch hail, maybe wind gusts over 60 miles an hour. We're not expecting a lot or widespread severe activity. This stuff will be more scattered. And then as we go through the day tomorrow afternoon, through Wednesday and Thursday, those days look like it'll be dry and becoming much warmer. We'll see the highs climb up into the upper 80s and low 90s. Winds will become more southwesterly and a bit breezy in the afternoons at 10 to 20, gusting to 25 miles per hour. Those overnight lows will go up there in the upper 50s and lower 60s, and it'll be hot and dry through Friday, and then the pattern switches back where we'll have low pressures developing out over the Great Basin, disturbances coming over the Rockies starting Friday evening through the weekend, and it looks like the extended forecast for next week in our 8 to 14 day as well, where we'll see an increased chances for the late afternoon and evening storms about daily, and we'll see our temperatures become back and cooler, more seasonal in those lower 80s to lower to mid 50s for the overnight lows, which is more typical for this time of year than what we'll see the next few days where they'll be above normal.
Chris, it's kind of crazy for me to hear this morning. I was listening to the weather radio, and they did the climate, kind of the recap of the day and weather. And I'm surprised to hear that the weather office in Goodland is still below normal as far as year-to-date precipitation amounts.
Yeah, when you look at the annual precipitation amounts, when you count last May and early June, that's when we saw them big rains last year. So each one of those rainstorms keeps coming off of our annual total. Some of those were 1-inch, 2-inch type rains there in May of last year. So each time we look at those annual totals, that's what gets us behind. If you look at once we got to Christmas, later in the year, last year through now, we are seeing totals running above average or slightly above average. So you're seeing the drought monitor showing Rawlins County and places along the Kansas-Nebraska border as near average or normal, and it gets abnormally dry as you go south towards I-70 and southward and towards Goodland. So we are in that quasi frame. If we can just keep these rains coming this week and the last, like we've seen in some areas have seen 3 to 5 inches of rain over the last 7 days. Other areas have only seen about a half inch or less. So that's more hit and miss and scattered. It looks like that'll continue. If we keep getting these chances of rain, we'll gradually see those totals come back to more average and seasonal. But the bad thing that we have is we got this La Nina, El Nino switching phase. We could dry out as we head towards summer once again, like we saw in the last couple of years. So Right now, it looks like we got chances to keep rain coming again later this week, the weekend, and next week. Let's hope that pans out and we get these annual totals back to normal.
Once again, that's Ag meteorologist Chris Schommick at Decision Weather and Atwood, as well as America's Weather Streaming Channel. For 106.1 KYVZ, I'm Joe Vazurnik.